What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you guys are well and warm, kicking it fly today because it is a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's Wednesday when I recorded this, but depending on when YouTube will allow me to release it, it could be Thursday. Who really knows? But thank you guys for joining me. I've got another one here for you, and I think it's going to be great. Better than Grandma's cinnamon rolls. But before I get started, I just want to remind you, you're awesome. Here's a few mistakes I think everyone's making when they start cloning. Cloning, as I've stated in other videos, is, in my opinion, the most important technique to be taking advantage of as a new or seasoned grower. You can maintain genetics, you can have a great stash on hand, and of course, you can help prevent any kind of loss of genetics with cloning. But some of the mistakes that I think most people are making when they're cloning, I'm going to discuss it here and see if together we can avoid making these mistakes and keep our cloning game to the 100s. The number one mistake people are making when they're cloning are not taking clones at all. This is something that I suffered from very early on when I started gardening. I was not taking clones. I was popping a fresh bean every time I had a new plant come around. And although great genetics are good to have, you can maintain a strain by simply cloning it. We all know genetics cost a lot of money. It's still like $10 a bean, like minimum, which is quite outrageous for 75% of genetics out there, but they're expensive. You can avoid that expense by maybe paying that price once and then cloning. Or just get some clones from a friend and then maintain that strain. You can keep a clone, keep a mother for years because, well, people are doing it. That's why we still have strains like the Hazes and Northern Lights. Once you start taking clones, another mistake people are making is not keeping a clean cutting tool, whether it's a blade, a set of scissors, a knife, what have you. It doesn't really matter, but it has to be clean. I've been using the same blade for years. I just wipe it down when I'm done with it, and I wipe it down before I use it. You can rub it down with some alcohol, some isopropyl, what have you. Just make sure it's clean. Passing diseases and passing pathogens is really easy if you're using the same blade over and over and over again. Just make sure it's clean. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we can't see that'll end up infecting that stem or that plant if we don't clean the blade or scissors first. So just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol. You can use a little isopropyl, what have you. Just rub it down, let it evaporate, let it dry, and then go ahead and use it. Too cold. I often find people aren't taking the temperature of their environment into consideration when they first take clones. I like to think of clones as like babies. They like to be warm, they want to be nurtured, they want to be taken care of, and clones are exactly the same. They want to be harbored in a nice, warm habitat. Keep the temperature high. And what do I mean by high? 80s is a great place to start. The comfort of being in a nice warm habitat will allow these roots to start taking hold and give it the best chance of survival. Make sure that you're also keeping maybe your dome or your habitat off the ground. I like to actually use a heating mat. AC Infinity has a heating mat that I've been using for months and months, and it works really well at keeping just a nice square warm pad for your clones, your seedlings, what have you, to sit on so that they don't freeze their asses off either from a basement floor, concrete, or what have you. It is so easy to lose clones from temperature that I think that that's one of the main things that we're not taking into consideration. Keep it warm, and you'll be laughing. Along with temperature is humidity. You want at least a 90% humidity when you're taking clones. I try to get back into my environment twice a day to spray down that dome. If you're using a humidity dome, if you're using little plastic bags or cups over top of the plant, you're going to want to make sure that you're going in there and giving it a good spray repeatedly. The moisture is going to be like a buffer that protects it from that outside environment. The more moisture, the quicker those roots are going to take hold and be successful. Nice and moist, nice and warm. Creates like a nice hug for these plants to be able to succeed in. Which brings me to today's sponsors. AC Infinity has a humidity dome that you can take advantage of. They also have little cloning collars that'll allow you to strap your clone into that humidity dome, allowing the roots to retain the moisture at the bottom and for a little bit of growth at the top. Humidity domes are a great way to increase and maintain the humidity and temperature in your cloning environment. If you head over to acinfinity.com, use promo code PIGEONS420, you'll save a few dollars off at checkout, and you'll have the best tools when it comes to cloning and maintaining a perfect environment. Get your hands on these domes. acinfinity.com, use promo code PIGEONS420. Now, you might not know it, but clones don't actually need a whole lot of light. In fact, they barely need light at all. They're working on the root zone and not on their growth. And when you're trying to get great results when cloning, try considering using supplemental light. And our sponsor, Spider Farmer, has quality lights for each and every scenario, whether you're looking for supplemental lights, whether you're looking for large lights or medium-sized lights. If you go to spider-farmer.com, use promo code PIGEONS420, you'll save some dollars at checkout, and you'll be able to get some great quality lights. Now, you can get lights that'll be small enough to get you through the cloning/seedling stage, and then you can up them to lights like the SE3, SE5000, which are perfect for a 4x4 grow space. You can dim the lights down so that you can give the clones the appropriate light at the appropriate time. You can daisy chain lights together so you can have multiple tents. You can check them out at spider-farmer.com. Use promo code PIGEONS420, save a few dollars off at checkout, and perfect your technique when it comes to cloning. Another tip when you're taking cloning, this one is important. Don't use weak genetics. Weak genetics have an inherent issue within them that you never really know how much they can take and what they can't. Cloning is going to be one of those things that is going to produce a level of stress to your plants that may ruin or jeopardize the results to which you're looking for. Use quality genetics. It's just going to remove that variable of unknowns that you don't want to worry with. If you're trying to maintain a strain, if you're trying to, send your buddies a great clone, just start with the right foot forward, have good quality genetics so you know that it's going to take the abuse that you're going to throw at it. The last and final mistake when it comes to cloning is not waiting. This is not a technique that happens in just a couple days. You are going to need a hormone. I prefer a powdered hormone rather than a liquid hormone, and that's specifically for shelf life. Powdered hormones last way longer than liquid hormones. The powdered hormone that I have in my garden, I have been using for years. I just take the clone, I dip it inside. I don't even take the powder out of the little container. Dip inside, and I go on with it. No big deal. Is it going to increase contamination? Maybe, but just use hormones. It increases the rooting and it increases the chances of success. And I increase all of that by using a powdered hormone rather than a liquid hormone. So use hormones. That's going to help you get those roots. But more importantly, you have to wait. Often it's about a 14-day period when you're waiting for clones to root. Can they happen faster? Yes. Can it take longer? Yes. So patience is important. If you're noticing that you're keeping everything nice and moist, you've got everything in a nice temperature, you've got quality genetics, and you're just waiting for roots, keep waiting. It will root. It just takes a little time. Are there any mistakes that you can think of that I missed in this video? I want to hear from you because I know there are a number. I also think that cloning is one of those underrated techniques that can really, really take your gardening skills from zero to hero. Guys, I appreciate you watching. Much love. Stay medicated, because guess what? Life's better that way. Peace.